I think about those people, I think about my family, and I think about my friends, and I think about strangers on the street looking for some meaning, and I connected to being here for 2 hours. And then if you go a little higher, you go, well, then who are all these people doing it with me? Forcing me to be good to my mind. And you might get a glimpse of beauty also coming from your mind. So I just invite you to think about that for a second. It's a lovely thing to stop. We're so busy always plugging and liking and sharing, and there's nothing else you can do for the next 2 hours but just be here. So just relax and I mean, you could leave. But if you're here, just be happy.
Could we do the classes on the beach?
Yeah, we could do the class. If we had better karma, we would do classes on the beach. So we always start these classes by generating that kind of state of mind. And in Tibetan Buddhism, we offer this thing called a mandala, where you imagine a perfect universe, a world with beings just completely happy, no suffering, and buildings and colors and shapes and nature and beauty everywhere. And you make an offering to that thing that informs you of wisdom, whether you give it a shape of an enlightened being or a state of mind. And so you make this bribe. We do it in Tibetan. And then we do this thing called taking refuge, meaning I understand that every single experience that goes through my mind is imbued with infinite potential. It could be absolutely anything. And so you think about that and you bring that to mind, because at any time your world can change. So generating that. Who's going to be the... Do you want to try? Yeah, thank you. Buhir Jishin Metotran Riralin Shin Yundegan Padi Sange Shindir Mitevargi Drokin Namda Shinla Chuparshok Idam Guru Ratnamandala Kamninyatayani Chidam Zoki Jognamla Janchu Vardu Dakni Gausuchi Dagi Jinyen Gipe Sanamki Drola Penchir Sangye Ruparshok Chidam Zoki Chognamla Janchu Bardu Dakni Gapsuchi Dagi Jinyen Gipe Sonamki Drola Penchir Sangye Druparshok Chidam Zogi Chognamla Janchu Bardu Dakni Gapsuchi Dagi Jinyen Gipe Sonamki Drola Penchir Sangye Druparshok. So just take a comfortably seated position. We're going to meditate just for a few minutes. Get a little deeper into our motivation. And we'll go really quickly through the 7 preliminaries, which are always at the front of a meditation practice. It's actually the first few chapters of what we're studying, the Bodhisattva Charvatara. Do it really quickly, so just let your mind step into a rhythm for those preliminaries. And then I'll spend a little bit of time asking for you to observe what your mind comes up with when I invite you to picture something. Okay? Exciting. I wish you all good luck. So just relax, get your base nice and sturdy, your spine flowing easily upwards, like stacked one on top of each other, like coins stacked one on top of each other, or a string pulling from the top of your head. And your hands should be in a place where you're comfortable, but the key is not to let your shoulders slump forward. Just make sure your heart is a little open. So sometimes for me it works to have my hands on my thighs. And then your eyes not fully closed and not much open, just enough to let a tiny bit of light in, but no shapes. You're breathing through your nostrils. And once you get your body in a place, begin to habituate just leaving it there. Doesn't matter if an itch comes or anything like that. For the period of the meditation, just decide you're not going to shift it. And before we do that, just scan your body for any tension around your thighs, relax them. Around your shoulders, your brow. For me, it's always around the eyes and the lips. A tiny smile helps. Relax the face. And at the beginning, all you need to do is just allow your body to breathe. Just breathe. Observe the breath, however you do it, with your sensation of your body moving or the sensation of the breath entering and exiting the nostril. And just like you parked your body there, make sure your mind is now parked in a focused meditation on your breath. Allow your mind only to be focused on the breath. Don't feel too bad if it moves away, just bring it back to the breath at your capacity. A little deeper now. See if you can be the breath. Just feel being the sensation exiting or entering. That's all you have to put your mind on. Imagine an intention coming up from your heart, inviting the most holy being you can imagine, most advanced mind you can imagine, and just observe them in front of you, close to you. Think of the thing you revere about them the most. As you feel close to them, see if you can generate some appreciation for a magnificent quality you see in them. And if you could make them an offering of anything at all that you imagine, how would you generate that offering? What would it be? It could be as simple as a drop of dew on a leaf, or it could be as complex as an entire universe draped with petals of roses. Imagine them enjoying you doing this offering for them. And now imagine, what is it that blocks you from becoming more like them? What is it in your life that prevents you from getting closer to a state of enlightenment? Just be honest with yourself. Maybe it's a habit you've got, or some actions that you do in your world regularly. And just see if you can feel some kind of awareness that if you could just change those things, you would be free from the obstacles that prevent you from becoming happier, wiser. No guilt, just clean. I need to fix that. And see if you can get their blessing to help you fix that. And now bring your mind to some beautiful capacity you already have. Maybe it's your kindness, it's your generosity, your intellect. Whatever it is, just that you already have a habit for goodness. Just allow yourself to be happy about it and see if you can get a blessing to make that increase and serve more people. Feel good about yourself, please. And see if you can feel good about whatever the other beings in the room are meditating on, their goodnesses, their capacities. See if you can be glad that they have goodnesses too. Then ask this being to always teach you, like forever whispering wisdoms in your ear as you maneuver yourself through life, urging you to awakening. And ask them please to always stay close to you. And as soon as you ask them that, imagine them rising up, turning to face the same direction you're facing, getting smaller and brighter, and resting just at the crown of your head, and park them there. Like concentrated wisdom, concentrated compassion available to you just at the crown of your head. Just return your attention to your breath. This time you're brighter or cleaner, more open because of what you just did. Now try and imagine yourself at the very first moment you think you were alive on this planet. See if you can imagine your body, what it looked like when you came to life on this planet. Just get a mental image of that. Just the body. The physical part of you. And now bring to mind a mental picture of your body now. And see if you can compare the two bodies in your mind and ask, what part of you now is still the same from back then, from the first instant of your body here? Have the two bodies in your mind. See if you can find anything that is exactly the same from your first body here to this body. Just return your awareness to your breath for a second. And think of your mind now, the collection of thoughts and feelings and impulses, conceptions, language, names that you have in your consciousness now. In the way you experience the world now. And see if you can imagine your first moments of conception, of awareness, your mind at the very beginning of your life on this planet. See if you imagine that mind connected to that first body. And if you whispered to that mind your name, for example, would it know who it is? If you tried to get into that early mind, the ideas you hold about yourself now, will it understand them? See if you can return your awareness to your breath now. And just slowly come back to the room. Okay, how was that? Did you have some interesting visions?
Yes.
Thank you for the answer. Who did that? Oh, yay.
This is amazing.
Good.
I thought it was hard to focus
Hard to focus.
also, like, even though I had, like, clear pictures of what you were saying,
Yeah.
it was hard for me to connect one piece of the meditation to the next.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, it felt a little disconnected as well, but I just want to give you a preview for what we're going to cover in class, which is usually what I do for the meditations. Try and get you to have a sensation about something that we're going to discuss intellectually. So it's not just some mental conception, but you have some meat around it, some visceral understanding. So before we get into it, now that our mind is set, we're going to do what we've been doing regularly, which is, who was here last class? Yeah, you're now the bosses of getting next to the people that were not here last class and go through the quizzes for class 4. So you discuss the concepts that lead us into this class. Yeah. And also, if you've got the homework for tonight's class, keep it next to you. So as I give the talk, you can cheat and put the answers for your homework and finish it before it's time. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So we've got 15 minutes to do that. Please. The quicker you do it, the better for the rest of the class, so I can cover lots of things. Yeah, could you? Do you want me to help you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool, we got the first one.
Guys, you're doing really good.
Good effort.
Are you doing this? What's this?
Huh?
Who's doing this?
So ACI.
Okay. Give effort.
Or go to
Joy and doing Joy. Are you leaving us, friends? Watch your back. You don't like it?
Why you
Is that laziness?
I will listen at mine. I don't know who. Oh.
Step in the way.
Nick, is there a copy? You doing yours?
You can fill it out and I'll come join you.
Yeah, and if you don't have enough, just put a couple of names on the same sheet, and I'll accept that.
Very realistic. It's still Facebook. Yeah.
It's FB.
In Nepal, they had
By mail?
Yeah, they had like Google shirts, Facebook, iPhone.
This one here?
I think it's like distraction by like
Go to reading.
No, I mean I can look it up in my notes if you want.
what's things that distract you.
Against the production of
Yeah, that causes
describe them.
Meaningless activities.
If you go to class reading 5, keep scrolling.
that causes
You
ugly.
can see at the top of each thing, you've got
Oh, okay.
That's number 2.
So you want to stick to that one?
you'll actually see it at you'll see it at the top of the page.
I put meaningless activities that distract you.
Oh, meaningless activity.
Laziness is laziness.
Lay low, cool.
What about self-esteem?
Oh, that was it. Where you feel like you can't do
Okay,
it.
so I'm going to ask you to read.
I put a star
Yeah,
next
the other things.
Yeah.
Just those two.
friends.
Don't read it to bed.
For that talking
And
time.
then the next turn, it's so easy because they're in, it's on blocks. Yeah, then read all those. And then when there's the next one, all those.
What was B?
I think
I think it's something effective, like being distracted.
Oh, okay.
Or like pleasure.
Activities, but yeah, we're just about there. So please.
Distracted by worldly desire.
And it'd be really nice if you could
Alright, so I can answer the next
that
one.
actually be.
After this, sitting the desire.
So you haven't heard of the question yet that everyone's
Sweet enjoyment of some pleasure. Oh, that's,
That's
for, this is for 3.
Okay, what was it?
Sweet enjoyment of some pleasure. Like any pleasure. Like worldly desire.
It was. He just recited the
Like enjoyment of what?
He recited that. He wrote it already. It was in the rafters of his book, of his.
I have it not
Yeah,
yet.
he just recited that. Not like.
Like worldly music.
It's like a double negative.
So I'm like, now? Now, probably.
Well, that's what I wrote for 2.
So what do you guys have for A?
Like the ignorant
But I have sloth, which is
Uh,
sweet enjoyment.
Not getting fed up of samsara is the next one.
What else?
Not getting fed up of
Yeah.
samsara.
Okay, addiction.
Enjoying your face.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, that's not what I had. I mean, it's the same, it's all the same thing really, but
Not all the same things.
Thinking you
the
are
second one is crazy.
invincible.
Sleeping.
All
Crazy for time spent
oxen waiting for the butcher.
Yeah.
Is that what that, yeah.
That's invincible.
Third,
Yeah.
failure to feel
You are
disgust at the
invincible.
pain of the
Yeah.
circle. Right. That's what she was talking. Yeah.
It's called passive.
It's like yeah, you're an oxen waiting for the butcher.
To feel
And you see all of your
disgust
But
at
you
the
see
pain
like
of
and you
the
see all your
circle.
friends go to the butcher and die, but you still think you still think you're alright. Not me.
But it relate, oh, relate to the medical. Yeah.
Oh, well there you go. Was that weird? Yeah,
This one?
I thought you said
Failure to be discussed.
Did you not realize that you would
And this was not being aware of.
Oh, this is Stephen.
Where do I have it?
Stephen.
I said,
David.
David still sings.
It's just a not-
Oh,
not
no.
being
I thought you were
aware.
laying
I said
there.
that the butcher represents the Lord of Death, and the oxen represent humanity, which acts in a docile and lazy
So the oxen
way,
represents
accepting their fate.
humanity and
Represents what? I didn't hear
that.
Humanity. Humanity.
What a coincidence.
Oh no!
turn around.
But I love that it reminds you of it.
Yeah, a whole album, but specifically the song Sheep.
Is that
Okay.
what
I'll
it
listen
is?
to it.
Reminds me of the song Shit by Pink Floyd.
It's more of a critique on Christianity and it's very
Never
bitter.
What's that?
About sleep.
It's about Christianity.
Unexamined
mind.
Rachel, what did you have for the?
Oh, I actually didn't hear it.
Yeah.
You don't realize you must examine your life in order to shift it, and you're just over.
What is, the butcher is the Lord of Death.
No, Lord of the Rings.
Which one?
Next week's
One,
homework.
two, three.
If you
Two
don't
hours?
feel the need to
The
be
third one.
more-
That one makes that award. That's a really good one.
Is that the answer for the mystery?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's been nice.
Or an oxen.
Just wait for 500. Gollum, please, Gollum.
What's right that in?
What?
My right answer.
Is that it?
That's it.
Enjoyment.
Pleasure. Said I have that problem. That's your problem.
Yeah, we finished. What's missing? There's some questions that are only in the reading. Yeah.
I just finished.
Thank you.
Hey Rachel,
It comes under.
what's number 2? What's number 2?
I Are you being serious?
Yeah.
Okay, I have A is laziness,
Uh-huh.
B is attraction to what is bad, and
What is it?
attraction to what is bad,
Okay.
and C is being discouraged and trying to do something virtuous and belittling yourself.
Yeah. Discouraged by doing something virtuous.
Just the feeling of being discouraged. Yeah.
Which one is that?
And lack of
Huh?
Low self-esteem. Low self-esteem.
Yeah, same thing. He's talking about low self-esteem, feeling
He
discouraged.
is what?
attraction to what is bad.
Yeah.
What is the
So-
self-esteem?
The guy that's asking us to attract to.
Sort of distracted by worldly
You're
desires.
attracted to
Same
suffering.
thing.
I think it's happiness, the entire world
Attracted,
wanting the
not
stuff that we
distracted.
want. Whereas it'll just continue.
Cool, we did good, guys. You got it, friends?
Oh, it's the best. It's so hot. You gotta watch.
You missed one.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Glistening water.
Yeah, it's so hot. Wow, it's so hot. Yeah, it's so hot.
like that.
Thank you for doing this with us. You weren't here. Thank you. Yeah, it's cool.
You're so fat. You're so fat.
I know, there's superhero socks, and
Yeah, this is my super. This is my cartoon.
Pirates of Penzance jacket.
Do you have the reading up? Or do you have any of you have the reading up for today?
Where's my dress? Yeah.
I might have felt a small treat.
That's fine. I'm really glad you did. It's
It's the only way I'll learn.
out of all the ways of killing trees, that's the best. Can you go to class 5? Yeah, and look at the.
With multiple stages, so it's okay.
I'm looking for the commentary part. I don't have the reading book. Part of the commentary that relates to Contemplation 10. So the Sutra by Subhatu. Yeah, I can find it. Yeah.
The beginning.
Or class 10? The 5. Great. Okay, great. So let's go to.
Yesterday I went to a guy
Yeah, I got
who
it
lives in the
there.
Rockefeller building. There's a
you
one
went to
bedroom,
Nelson?
$8,000.
Contemplation 10. Okay,
He's
found
an
it.
agent for musicians.
I love the cross action.
It's crazy. It's just so luxurious,
Yeah.
that one bedroom.
He's in Bushwick.
How long did it take you?
2 hours.
What?
Was it
Is it so good here?
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
It hurt here. That's it.
Not a bunch of dangerous
Are you good at reading that?
No.
I
When I
introduced
say
them
so,
to
it's much more detailed.
I can introduce them to you.
Yeah.
Shantideva
Yeah, I
would
think-
say.
yeah,
So
that's
I'm
fine.
like to quote directly from the sutra. Yeah, and I just don't
That
know.
kind of
And this was like,
Thank you.
Yeah,
how
next
there's
Wednesday.
so many lines there. Okay. It's like you put you over and over.
I do.
6 p.m.
Okay, anyone need more time?
We will
No.
gather together.
Let's return to our
Bedroom, $8,000.
Regular program.
regular programming.
Okay.
And here comes the interactive part. What's the best thing that you got from class 4? Like, what's the first thing that pops into your mind to go, that's a really good thing?
The oxen and the butcher.
Give me the oxen and the butcher analogy. Which one is Mr. Death and which one is humanity?
Butcher is death. Humanity is the oxen.
Right?
Yeah, the ox working very slowly, without consciousness, patiently.
Being chopped up. Right? Great. Okay. Cool. But how is that useful for you?
Because we don't think we're gonna die, but we keep saying our friends die.
Yeah. True. True. Cool. Someone else. What's like awesome that you just covered?
I was going to keep going with the metaphor.
You could keep going with the metaphor if you
Well,
like.
we always put ourselves above animals. And I think that because this metaphor likens us to animals, it's pretty shocking.
Oh, right. So it's like, oh, that's nice. That's impactful. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
You would say.
I remember you described the feeling of the fear when you were about to test that class.
Yeah. He goes into detail.
And I had a dream on Saturday where I was in a spaceship
Wow.
and they were going to ship me away from this world. It was not humans, it was something else.
Oh.
And they were like, well, hold on a minute, that we don't know if he has any attachments left for this world. So they woke me up, and that's how I woke up.
Oh wow.
And I woke up with that terror.
Yeah.
And I haven't had that in 15 years since I took acid.
But
Like be like aware of your death.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It felt like if I go back to bed now, I might not wake up again.
right.
And so like the feeling was there of like needing to take a shit and,
Yeah.
and the heart palpitations. And,
Yeah.
and I just woke up and I like wrote about it.
Wow. Blessings.
And then to add to that, on Monday, I learned of a friend of mine that killed himself.
Wow.
And so this feeling of like being out of touch with spiritual practice and so you know, it was a huge propellant for me.
Yeah.
Those
Blessings for having the charge, because we get numbed, you know, we go through our things and we get numbed, and if you've been on a path for a while, we bring the numbed habit to this profound, magnificent thing. So to be able to go to get a supercharge, an electrifying wake up, is a magnificent thing, because it means you still have that. So blessings, yeah. Anything else that came out from last class? I just want to know, like, if we died tomorrow, what's left in your brain, in your mind, from what we learned? What can you take with you? Because that's all you take, is with the impressions of your mind. Anything else?
To follow the light at the moment of death.
Follow the light at the moment of death, said the moth. Big mistake. No, joke.
What?
Said the moth. I'm saying the moth. Follow the light. No, I was being silly. From my friend Evan, who taught me to be silly about moths and the light. Cool.
Do you mean anything else, like period, or
Just in general, like what's so far? You're up halfway through ACI's 11, which is chapter 6 and now 7 of Bodhisattva Charavatara, and
Oh yeah, okay, so if we don't rejoice, we're never going to get enlightened.
why?
I think is ridiculous, because I hate rejoicing. I think self-existently the things that I do that are good should be good in the savings account of my good karma. I don't want to rejoice in the things that are already, you know what I mean? That's my affliction, that's like, I want to rejoice. But that really struck me. It's like if you're not moving your merit with joyful effort, meaning becoming a virtuoholic, rejoicing for the things that are good that you're doing, it won't be good. There's no goodness outside of you perceiving it as a goodness.
Exactly. You have
Is your interest in your savings account?
Yeah, I'm terrible with finances, Paul.
He's talking about his credit card, not his savings account. He hasn't got savings yet. I think it's awesome, because what that means is that yes, goodness will produce goodness. You're in the cycle of that, and badness will produce badness, and negative will produce negative, and positive will produce positive, and that's the cycle. Unless you've got some extraordinary extra, you're not getting out of that thing. Yet things will ripen from your good efforts. It's not that they go away, it's just that they'll disappear after they ripen. But what is it that propels you right out of orbit of this thing? And it has to be something extraordinary to produce something extraordinary. And it seems that joy. Do you remember the first line it's about the fourth line on the first reading we did last time, which is the beginning of the chapter, that tells us that joy is the thing that increases both collections. Do you remember that? It's the wind.
The wind that moves the flame.
Yeah, that moves the flame. Great. Cool. Thank you for doing that. I really enjoy watching you discuss these things with each other. It makes me like so happy. And I don't know why I didn't do it before, so I'm sorry. And I'm grateful. So tonight we're going to talk about, remember in your homework question there were 3 things that prevent us or stop us from getting joyful effort, right? From actually getting off on doing good. There were 3 things. Do you remember those in your homework? First one was lelo, which was laziness, right? Just The next one, I can't do the Tibetan because it was long, but it meant
Being attracted to things that are bad.
yeah, just being attracted to regular things that just aren't any good for you, right? And we can put the New York Times in there and then TV and just all this little low-level radiation stuff that just erodes both our intellect and our capacity for goodness. And the last one, do you remember that one? Yi look.
Self-esteem.
Yi look. Getting discouraged, right? Low self-esteem. And it came from, I think the reading is like, what stops effort? He said, here I will explain the things that work against it. These are laziness, lelo, being attracted to what is bad, and the feeling of being discouraged, belittling yourself. Today's class is all about Giluk, the third one. And it's so good for our Western mind to spend a whole class from the Buddha to Master Shantideva to Gyaltse J and all the way down to here, masters of the past spending time saying, you're on this journey becoming a bodhisattva, trying to live a life the way of a bodhisattva, the way of a being that can turn into an angel, a saint, and every experience blissful and magnificent and nothing negative. Your mind can never be disturbed, right? So you're on this journey. This book is taking you on this journey. And they're going to spend some time saying, I think that one of the most applicable things for Western context, which is, I feel bad, I'm so terrible, I'm no good. That feeling that says, I can never do this stuff. I can never think like His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I can never remember all this scripture. There's no way I could possibly be. I'm just doing this. I'll turn up to class and I'm doing this. But really down there in your gut, could you turn into a being that could be other than what you think you are right now? Like we did in the meditation, right? Were you that baby thingy at the beginning, or are you the thing now? How can that turn into that? And how can this turn into a being that never is having any mental disturbances? Is that possible, really? Do you think that's possible? So when I say Buddha, don't think of the shape of a Buddha. When I say Buddha, Buddha should be in your mind. You should begin to bring up the idea of a mind, a consciousness that has gone through an evolution, just like we did in the meditation, that can get in data through all its senses and experience that data as nothing but bliss. Have a complete sense of bliss and compassion and love all the time, and can't be shaken from that, shook, whatever the word is, shakud, yeah, shakud from that. And then that's just the mind, right? Shaked from that. Can't be shaked from that. And then that's just the mind. And then physically, to actually, we'll go into it today, to actually conceive of this thing you call your body. Which one of your bodies were you really? Were you really that tiny thing? Or were you this thing when you were comparing? Which one is it really? And why is it that you were conceiving of your body that way and you're conceiving of your body this way? We'll talk about it today. Is it possible to conceive of your being as other than this body? Because a Buddha has all these bodies, right? All these kayas, which just means parts of a Buddha, really. But they have a body that is the way they see themselves, and their buddies see them because of the karma they have. Then they have the emanation body, and then they have the mental body. Right? So is it possible for you, this thing you call you, to work it enough? Or are you plagued by the beautiful Western, you're not good enough, I'll never make it, there's no possible way I could really internalize these things? Would I be able to meditate enough to wake up? Would I be able to have enough virtue in my mind to understand these things? Is it possible? So this whole class is devoted to just that, to addressing, and so you can apply it to every aspect of your life, right? Because we often all get discouraged. It's really beautiful. The main thing he'll discuss about overcoming that discouragement is the understanding of Buddha nature, and we'll go through it. But before we do that, he talks about he says, like, if you are this emerging bodhisattva, this being that's on the way of becoming this kind of being, if you're in the training ground for a bodhisattva, you must, like a royalty from ancient India, must have 4 armies at your disposal. In your training ground to become this thing, you must have this army, these 4, not armies, what is it? We have the Air Force, the Navy.
Forces.
4 armed forces at your disposal. And in ancient India, they were the elephanteers, the charioteers, the cavalry, and what are the foot soldiers? The infantry. Yeah? So in ancient India, there were those. There were like the beings that went out on foot and fought these things face to face. The beings that went out on horse and went into battle. The chariots, and then the huge elephants. There were the 4 armed forces, and for us it'd be different, right? But he says you must have these 4 things, these 4 armed forces at your disposal to battle what? To battle the mental afflictions, the things that get you down, and to battle your low self-esteem, your discouragement, your feeling of, I'll never do that, right? So I find it really interesting that he's going to talk about this at length, and that the commentary talks about this at length, and that they'll quote the Buddha to say, hey, the Buddha said this stuff. So you will, if you get into it, really get to the core of why it is completely logically possible for you to really become an enlightened being and really get to a state of being a bodhisattva on your way to becoming an enlightened being. And it's magic for me to talk about these things with you. But first let's do the reading, and so then I'll describe it. Yeah, so he's going to tell you about this. We're like kings of ancient India now that we've devoted our minds to say, maybe I'll try and be this bodhisattva thing, right? Well, he says, well, like kings of ancient India, you should. And where's Nicholas? So get your minds back to 700 AD, 1300 years ago in Nalanda University. Thousands of monks just amazed at Master Shantideva reciting this from memory, touching their hearts, opening them up.
Never feel discouraged. Assemble the forces. Engage yourself gladly. Come to find complete command of yourself. See yourself and other people as equal. And finally exchange yourself and others as well. Never allow yourself the feeling of being discouraged, or having the thought, how could I ever become enlightened? About this, those who have gone thus, the ones who speak the truth, have spoken the following words of truth. Those beings who are flies and gnats, or bees, and even those who live as worms as well, can reach unmatched enlightenment, so difficult to reach if they develop the force of effort. Someone like me, someone born as a member of humankind, can tell me what helps or hurts. Assuming then that I never give up the Bodhisattva's way of life, why shouldn't I reach enlightenment?
Okay, that's good. So I'll first of all talk about the 4 forces and what they mean, the 4 armed forces. And then we'll go to that beautiful verse, like, if gnats and worms can reach enlightenment with effort, like, where did that come from? So the first thing is, the first of the armed forces is called Giluk Me. Yeah? So remember, Giluk meant feeling discouraged, and Giluk Me means not to feel discouraged. Yeah? Mema at the end means that. And I love this because it's an attitude that you put on. It's like remembering that all these forces have to be brought together, right? But the first one is called armor effort. Gilukme is also known as armor effort, which means like chainmail, you decide you're on this path and you imagine yourself covered in this chainmail, if you like, that no external force could ever come in and disrupt your path to enlightenment. There's no negativity that could get through because you're on this path. So you imagine, like, I don't know, what's the modern equivalent where you get protective shield if you're on Star Trek or something?
Kevlar?
Kevlar, okay, it could be Kevlar. I was imagining more
Or
sci-fi.
force field.
A force field, yeah, you activate.
They call sunglasses hater blockers.
Okay, hater blockers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you, for your own personality, for your own state of mind, with your own consciousness, you generate this force field around you that prevents any negativity from seeping in, and it works also to prevent any of the goodness that you've generated, any of the beauty that any of the capacity you've generated, any of your practice from seeping out and getting leaked out. So you're imagining that you've got this like nuclear reactor developing inside you of goodness that is staying in here, and you can direct it when you want to with this force field that prevents it from leaking out, and it also prevents you and shields you from any negativity or any mental afflictions coming into this state of you. And you can begin to imagine it down here and then eventually grow to your body and eventually grow to beings around you. You can play with this armor effort. So there's 4 types of joyous effort here. He's given there's 4 armies, there's 4 ways of putting out effort, and this is one of them. Building and developing this visualization, this mental attitude that does that. So put the armor on. What does this mean? Okay, let's go instead of just conceptual. What does it mean? Because we're talking about not feeling discouraged, right? So, all last few classes I taught not getting angry, right? And you think I didn't get angry as I was teaching not getting angry? You think my mind didn't go, the world is responsible for the way I'm feeling. Of course my mind did that, right? And it's so discouraging, right? Here I am, I'm sitting correctly as a good Buddhist teacher, and I've got a beard like a good Buddhist teacher, and and I'm teaching you all the beautiful things from 700 AD, and I've got a lineage all the way back to the Buddha, and I've got all access to all this stuff, and then I go and have one stupid interaction with myself or other things, and believe me, it wasn't just once. I got agitated more than once, right? And it's discouraging. Like, I've been doing this for 18 years, and I can't sustain 5 minutes of... Of course I can. I know, I'm creating some drama for you. Yeah. No, but the truth is I do, and we get discouraged. I am also creating some drama for you. And so it's putting the armor on is you begin to associate, like Pavlov's dog,
Yeah.
right? Whenever you get the discouragement, instantly you begin to say, hold on a minute, I've got this armor, I've got all these good things that we're going to cover in the class and that you already know about yourself that have helped me get to this. Of course I can overcome whatever's coming at me because shields are up and goodness generated on. So you imagine the nuclear reactor or whatever it is. So one of the things is remembering to turn on your armor. Does that make sense? And that is when the boss is yelling at you, when the partner is doing whatever, when you are judging yourself about meditation or whatever, it's whatever the affliction is. If your mind is disturbed, you turn on the armor. Cool? Nice. I love that one. It was really beautifully impactful for me at the beginning. The next one is actually, it's called Jorwa Tundru, which actually is probably closest to our original idea of effort, which just means working hard, making effort, like actually getting into it and doing work. So the second thing that we should do to not feel discouraged is get into the work. So what kind of work? And he's saying it's getting into the work at the two sides of the flame. The collection of merit, or the first 3 perfections and the last 2 perfections, right? And the collection of wisdom. So, working hard, like just work, like just put your back into the perfection of giving, the perfection of living ethically, the perfection of not getting angry when you're supposed to, and they are the collection of merit. They're the things that turn into your physical Buddha body. And then working hard at the perfection of concentration, learning meditation, practicing meditation, getting insights in your meditation, and the perfection of wisdom, the Prajnaparamita, studying, understanding emptiness, etc., etc. This second armed force that you deploy is the one that just works hard. This one is probably the infantry, the one that meets them face to face, right? This is hard work. This is okay. I've got to sit there and study, or I have to develop my giving, or I have to develop my ethics, or whatever it is. Yeah, so that's the second one.
Usually, is it giving, ethics, concentration,
Yeah.
wisdom, study? And then
Right, so let's go through the 6 perfections. The first one is the perfection of giving. Yeah, and the reason we changed it from giving to from generosity to giving is because there's 3 types of giving. One is giving material things like food and shelter or whatever. The other one is giving protection from harm or fear. So you're not, oh, how generous is he that he is protecting her? We don't think of that as generous, right? And then the last one is giving
The Dharma.
Dharma, which in essence means what? What's giving the Dharma mean?
Teaching.
So this is a nominal way of giving the Dharma. I might be giving you Dharma, but really trying to give other beings realizations, which you do all day, all the time. We do it to each other all the time. It's just whether or not you're trying for ultimate realizations. Trying to give other beings realizations. I know you do it with your kids at Teak, right? You're forever sitting there trying to place them in situations that they wake up within their capacity. And when you do it as a yoga teacher, and you do it at 3 Jewels, and you're doing it with the homeworks with me, and that's a joke, right? So this is the third type of giving. So as opposed to, he's so generous with his realizations, so giving is that. So that's the first of the 6 perfections. You habituate a mental state of forever giving. Second, ethics, right? And not because someone said so or because it's good out there. Why ethics?
It creates the causes for progressing on the path.
Explain why.
If everything's causes and conditions, you need to plant the virtue to see the result.
Right, so give me an explanation of why that works, please.
Because karma is definite.
So you're saying that being virtuous will always produce a good result. Why?
Good produces good.
Cool. Who else gave an answer?
I was going to say, because like produces like.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So causes and results have some likeness, right? Great. So if you color your mind with nothing but beauty and goodness and generosity and so on, and it's sitting in the fertile field of your mind, multiplying and ready to burst forth a forest, the forest will look like what you planted. And if it's been kind, if it's been generous, if it's been abundant, more importantly, if it's been aimed at everything, then everything must appear kind and generous and abundant, right? You're creating it in your perceptual experience of this thing we call everything. So that's the second perfection, the attitude of living in accordance with virtue, with kindness. And that can be formally all the vows, like as little as avoiding the 10 non-virtues, or doing the opposite of the 10 non-virtues, and every vow, morality that you have in this system, or any other system. Yeah? Cool. Second perfection is?
Second.
ethics. Third, perfection. These 6 things of a bodhisattva, right? And so the first 3 produce your body. And the third one is? Not getting angry. Translated as patience. Yeah? And patience because you do want to get angry. We're trained to get angry, and that's what keeps us locked in this samsaric cycle. The first thing that comes up in our mind when someone's hurt you, right? If you look at it, there's a space between you're having a good moment, someone says something to you, you realize something happened to you or something, and then sometime from having a good or neutral moment, you jump into WTF. But in between I'm happy and WTF, there must be some kind of conceptualization, right? There must be something happened to me, but it happens so quick that we just have the impulse to react. And WTF says, I'm going to get you for what you got me, or I'm going to push out a negativity out there, because that's where it came from. It happens so quickly we don't see it. So patience is called patience because we are beginning as bodhisattvas to slow down that process to the point where it doesn't come up. Because you can just abide in that initial step and then realize that the very last thing you want to do, if you understand that the world comes from the imprints you've created through your actions of body, speech and mind, the last thing you want to do is vomit out some aggression. Because that's guaranteeing you more of the thing that made you do WTF in the beginning. And that is a trainable thing, and the lag period gets shorter and shorter until all you can think about when some WTF happens to you, because it will continue to happen to you, right, until you've exhausted the causes of those, is realize that every one of them is an opportunity for you to get wise. And then they don't become negativities anymore, they just become opportunities for you to get free. Until you start going looking for those people that WTF you, because they begin to become rare in your life, which is what he mentioned last time. So that's the first 3. Those first 3, because they're to do with activity, yeah, they create your body. The middle is joyous effort, which is the effort that fuels joyous or joyful effort, which is the wind that moves the flame, right? The flame of the first 3 we just discussed, and the last 2 which we're yet to discuss, which is concentration and wisdom. These create the mind of a Buddha, because concentration, we're talking about consciousness, abiding in meditation. You're making mental imprints about mind. So the mind must be of a certain nature that you've been habituating. And then wisdom is the thing that's in the mind, right? Understanding how the mind functions, and so developing that. So the wind that moves the flame, the effort that you put in is the only thing that makes those extraordinary, because you already have an idea about your mind. It's just not mind. You already have some idea about wisdom. It's wise not to put your fingers in the power outlet, but that's not really going to get you to enlightenment. So
you mentioned last class that there's like the awareness of the thing that we do, but then there's the breaking of the habit. I don't remember which class it was, but it's if we're lucky enough to know that we're doing something, that's a miracle. But that's not even the hardest part. The hardest part is then stopping the second nature of that habit.
It's the 2 protectors or whatever, like Sesshin and...
Sesshin and Dampa, yeah?
Watch it.
Recollection and watchfulness.
Or at least that applies to
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later, yeah? Because he returns to that in this class. So did that answer your question? The 6 perfections are those?
Were those in the beginning of the... I didn't find them. I'm sorry to read the...
Yeah, they're in the classes. I think it was on the 3rd class or the 2nd class. We covered the 6 perfections, yeah. So we've deployed, we now know that we have access to deploy 2 of these armed forces, right? We've got the armor. So whenever we get discouraged, you begin to go, armor up, good, generate warmth inside, prevent shield on, right? The second one is just Get into the 6 perfections. Get working, making just effort at doing, even if it's mechanically, because a mechanical action will give you a result. Even if it's that initially, you just put your back into it. Cover all 6 perfections. The next one, the third army at your disposal is engaged effort. And this means it's a mental state. It's about throwing yourself into it mentally. And this one has Dempa and Sheshin. This one has Dempa, which is, so it's a mental state because it really is observing the way you're engaging with your world. Let's say you're practicing to the best of your ability, because we all start wherever we are, the 6 perfections. Let's say you're practicing giving, right? You've got some aspect of your thing to give, either give realizations or give shelter or to give material goods. Let's say you're working on that. Or you could be working on ethics, right? Not yelling at your boss back or hating your work colleague who's the most annoying work colleague or whatever it is, right? I saw that. And you have an episode, or you're about to have an episode. Besides charging up the shields, besides going, okay, I'm committed to doing this part is about the state of mind with which you do those things. And Dempa and Sheshin are the 2. One is watchfulness and the other one is awareness, right? Or Dempa is awareness and Sheshin is the alarm clock, watchfulness. In other words, you develop over time an awareness of what you're really doing in that job. You're not there to get money to pay rent. As a Bodhisattva in training, you are there to clear away your mental afflictions. Someone just happens to be paying you whilst you're doing that, for you to pretend to be doing all these other things on the computer and whatever. But in reality, you're going to have so many different jobs in your life. You're going to meet so many weird and wonderful creatures. But really, in your life career, you're only there to get rid of the thing that harms this planet, which is our aggression, our hatred, our ignorance. You're just lucky enough that someone gives you money to pretend to do whatever you're doing whilst you're clearing out your mental afflictions. Really. I mean, when you get old and bearded, you realize that. You're like, I have no idea what I did 10 years ago that was so important, that really helped everybody. But I do remember the interaction between us. And with some of those beings, I'm still grateful for them. And with some of them, I'm still grateful for them. Really, that's what you're there for. So this part, Dempa and Sheshin, are there to observe and remind you, what are you here for? So here comes the annoying business partner, or the aggravating colleague, or the opportunity to give and you're feeling stingy about putting out the $1 to the homeless person on the subway. Here comes your opportunity. And your awareness is reminding you, you're not just giving someone $1. You're not just having another argument and fighting over a bigger desk space. You have a bigger battle here. You're a Bodhisattva in training. If you do this right, within some short time, you'll be able to transform your mind enough that you could do this with ease, and you can help other people do this. This is what that should be doing to you. And that's the third armed force, or the first half of the third armed force. The second half is the alarm bell, right? The one that's catching you going, you just made a mistake. Retract that statement. Don't call her that in your mind. What do you call those people in the armed forces? The ones, the strategists, the ones that say, you just screwed up. Or, congratulations, go deeper over there, you're being quiet. What do you call
The
it?
peanut gallery.
Oh, I don't know, but I read monthly challenges, online. And the one for March is that anytime a negative thought arises, you snap a rubber band on your hand.
Perfect.
So if anyone wants to join, just go to Facebook and search Kindness Challenge and look into the events. That's so then every month is a different 30-day challenge. So this is exactly this one.
Awesome, fantastic, yay. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of it.
We have this, I've got all these rubber bands. One in my ear, so So Sheshin is the awareness, and Dempa is the alarm. Yeah, is that right? Yeah. Dempa is recollection. Sorry, Sheshin is the alarm clock. I had it right the first time. So this is like your special forces. This is be like your Navy SEALs, right? The one that's saying, go in for special tactics. Mid-sentence, through an aggravating response of anger to anger, you just shut it down. That's it. You just go in. And a well-developed Bodhisattva has begun to train themselves where that response is quick. It's so quick that you don't even say the response. But you start off wherever you're at, within whatever challenge you're working with. So this is your third armed force. We got that one? Yep. Third army at your disposal. And the last one is, this is called self-command effort, or the translation was self-command effort. Lesung Rungwa is one way that they describe this in the scripture. And for Lesung Rungwa, which became Leirung for secret practices, yeah? And Leirung is a special kind of practice that you do when you go and do a kind of retreat, Leirung, and it comes from this word. And it means where you have, through habituation, developed enough command over your body and your mind to do these activities. This is the fourth deployment, right? That again, it's a trainable thing for your body and your mind. The example that we did in meditation today, you begin to develop enough command over your body that you say, I'm meditating and I'm not moving my body. I'm going into a meditative state. And as soon as you get the posture, you stay in the posture. And that's a trainable thing. Initially you do it for 1 minute, and then you do it for 2 minutes, and then you do it for 4 minutes, and then you do it for 10 minutes. And then you're stupid because you didn't do it for 6 months, and then you start back at 2 minutes. But you still do it. You get some command over your physical capacity to sit and meditate. Yogis do this beautifully. Yeah? So this is the first half of the fourth deployment, yeah, as a training bodhisattva. To battle what? To battle and
physical
discouragement, not feeling discouraged. Like you actually have these capacities available to you. Right? So whenever you're feeling discouraged, you get these 4 armed forces that you deploy. Put on the armor. What was the second one?
Action.
Effort. Just get into it and do some action, do some effort. The third one.
Mentally trained.
Get your mind trained to observe and maneuver, and send the Navy SEALs in there to go, okay, shut up now, or fantastic, keep going, and the fourth SWAT team, or whatever you call it, right? Yeah. But you have these things, and the last one is begin to train your body to say, okay, don't punch somebody in the face, as basic as that, yeah, all the way up to I'm meditating for 2 hours.
Self-control.
It's trained, it's self-control. And then mentally the same. I will be meditating on emptiness right now. I will not be thinking about my boss or my ice cream or myself, how people think of me or whatever it is. And you do have command over those things, and they're trainable things, and it's just, so they're the 4 kinds of efforts, the 4 armies that you deploy. Cool. Happy with that?
Is there anything you would say about developing the fourth?
Habit. It's just habit. You do, and he'll give an advice at the very end, which I can jump in and say, like, start small. And I think I gave it last week. Start small, and grow to your capacity. We'll get more to that. And it's just habit. Like, you're an amazing yogi. How do you get there?
By moving around a lot, but like stillness or like command over myself seems different. I don't know.
Maybe by
it seems like a different thing.
Were you born being such a good yogi?
No.
You learned all your yogic poses, no?
Yeah.
How did you do that?
By practicing.
Right. Yeah. It's so simple, right? It's not like brain surgery. We don't need the big secret key. Just practice something. And if some things you're going to have a propensity for, and you'll be lucky you've got that propensity, you came with the karma for that. Awesome. You're developing that. And some other things are hard for us. For me, it was really hard to remember things, memorize things, and read English. Pain in the ass. Like, so hard for me, seriously. That's not my kind of mind, right? But through training, I have some things down in my mind. I still judge myself over it, and I have to work on that, but it's just training. It's just repetition. It's just repetition. It's just repetition. It's just repetition. It only took 3 goes before you got that joke. Okay, we're gonna read that reading 2 again. Reading 10 again. The one that starts with never allow yourself the feeling. Nick.
From the top.
Yeah, just that one, not the first one. The first one you'd read already, which was never feel discouraged, assemble the forces. We just covered what the forces were. Read the other one again, because he's going on feeling discouraged. Never allow yourself to feel the feeling of being discouraged or having a thought. Yeah?
Sure.
Just that one. So go back 1,300 years back.
Never allow yourself the feeling of being discouraged, or having the thought, how could I ever become enlightened? About this, those who have gone thus, the ones who speak the truth, have spoken the following words of truth. Those beings who are flies and gnats or bees, and even those who live as worms as well, can reach unmatched enlightenment, so difficult to reach if they develop the force of effort. Someone like me, someone born as a member of humankind, can tell what helps or hurts. Assuming then that I never give up the Bodhisattva's way of life, why shouldn't I reach enlightenment?
Great, thank you. And that's also, he's saying that the unmatched, like the Tathagatas, the Buddhas, have said, even worms and gnats can get enlightened, right? And it's like, oh, okay, so Gyaltsabje goes into the sutra, and it was the sutra by Subatu, which is the sutra requested by he named Subatu, right? Can you read that part of the sutra from the Buddha's speech, yeah? To prove that if the Buddha, who knows all things, right? There's a logical proof why the Buddha can't lie. We covered that in ACI 4, I think, yeah? If a Buddha who can see all things can say that if those beings develop effort, they can get enlightened, then why not a human? You've already began, you're so far ahead, right? So can you read the entirety of the gnat's comment?
Bodhisattvas must, moreover, master the following way of thinking. Even those beings who are lions or tigers or dogs or wolves or vultures or cranes or crows or owls or worms or fleas or bees or gnats can bring about the matchless state of enlightenment. And here I am, someone who is living the life of a human. Now, no matter what, even if it costs me my life, I will put forth whatever effort is needed to reach enlightenment.
Awesome, thank you. So that's a commentary. So it's saying, guys, come on, you're so close. Put some effort, and it's not going to be that bad. Because the beautiful thing about this path is that you actually get to do goodnesses to get a good result. So unfortunately, you have to enjoy being good to create your beautiful Buddha paradise. So another thing to remember when you're feeling discouraged. The next thing I want to talk about, but we'll do it after the break, is what the implication here is, because we'll go through the logical proof. What is it about other beings that can get them enlightened, and therefore what is it about us that can get enlightened? And we're probably going to go a little bit in depth into this thing called Buddha nature to try and dispel any misconceptions and really to use it as a logical proof of why you can get enlightened. Take a 10-minute break, eat all the awesome guacamole made by beautiful Florence, yeah, and see you in 10 minutes. Thank you.